This podcast for the S2S Sports Network is brought to you by Power Plus Mouthguard. You can find them online at powerplusmouthguard.com. They are the future of mouthguards. Now, I've been advertising Dr. Hutchinson and Power Plus Mouthguard for 4 years now, and it's not just because he wants to advertise with us, but it's also because I believe in his product. And that's always a very important thing for me as someone who advertises products, is I've got to believe in them. And Dr. Hutchinson has created a mouthguard that is helping to eliminate concussions. Now, you'll never eliminate them 100%, but you know what? Power Plus Mouthguard has got concussion rates down to 0.2%. And how does it do that? Well, it simply aligns your jaw in the physiological perfect rest position. That does not allow the G-force to get to the brain. That, in turn, help eliminate concussions. Also, now, Power Plus Mouthguard does not only help eliminate concussions and other injuries, it helps you perform better. Because if your jaw is in the right position, your strength output goes up to almost 17%. You get more oxygen intake, which allows you to speak normally, which if you can speak normal, you can run faster, you can jump higher, you can communicate better. All of that is so needed when you're playing sports. And again, it also helps eliminate the fog of sports because you're getting oxygen to the brain. It means when you get into the middle of a play and you get hit and you get maybe blindsided and you lose your bearings for a minute, you will come to your senses quicker because you're getting oxygen to the brain better. And that's what Power Plus Mouthguard can do for you. Again, check them out online at powerplusmouthguard.com. If you don't believe me, look at the data and research. It's on their website. And this isn't something that Dr. Hutchinson did himself. This was an independent study, and they're still doing these studies almost every year. He's always trying to get more and more information to make the mouthguard better. But check out the data and research. Check out the testimonials. Check out all of the website at powerplusmouthguard.com and tell them you heard about him here on the S2S Sports Network, part of L4 Media. Have y'all looked at the calendar lately? It's already almost May. Football is literally, and I guess figuratively, right around the corner. If you know how we work here, even on the new network, everything stays the same. Well, kind of the same. We basically start our off season here in about 30 days. We'll start having our sideline to sideline shows, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. By the way, I am Terry Bennett. This is the S2S Sports Network. Don't really have a name for this podcast. This is kind of just more normally when I'm in this area, in this space, I'll be doing coaches shows and regional shows and other shows. And so this is just kind of been the second one of what was, I guess, technically is an update podcast. We call it Terry Talks. By the way, this, whatever it's called, is brought to you by, again, Power Plus Mouthguard. Check them out online, powerplusmouthguard.com. And yes, I know the sounds are still going to kind of go up and down. I'm still working with that. If you know me, and enough of y'all have listened long enough to know that the sounds are very important to me, because I truly believe that even through video, audio quality, pleasant to hear, pleasant to listen to, is still very, very high up. And I know me personally, I'm a very avid podcast and Audible listener. Usually a lot of times while I'm editing, especially if I'm not having to do any audio editing. And even with audio editing, I know what most of the sound waves look like. I've been doing this long enough. I can listen to other things while I'm editing that. And I know that if I don't like the narrator in an Audible book, I don't care what the book is, I'm out. And I'm the same way with podcasts. And so I'm very, very particular about how our sound is. And that's one of the reasons why we switched back to studio mics. But it's also one of the reasons why it's taking me a few shows to get everything done. And by the way, I do appreciate and so thankful for the comments when we talked about the last podcast, about how many of y'all were saying, yeah, this sounds way better than how y'all used to sound. I agree. And it's, I'm having a blast doing all this, but there is a little bit of, trial and error. Like, we got some new sound panels that we've put up. So the next video podcast you see, whether it's out joint to coverage or sideline to sideline, you'll see them. They're cowboy color. but those hexagonal shapes, that's what they are. They help kind of absorb the sound. We'll have I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but we'll have literally a comforter up behind where Grant and intern Noe sit when they're here. And that's also to help deaden the sound. So we're figuring that out. The funny thing is we've used studio mics before. And the studio mics that we use came back from the radio station that I used to work for all the way back in 2004 when I worked for ESPN out of Shreveport. And so when that station closed, so if you're owed money and the station closed, a lot of times they'll just give you equipment. And that's what it did. And I got two really good studio mics. These were high dollar mics at the time. They're still high dollar mics. If you were to go buy them used on eBay, they're still $400 or $500. Well, the technology has caught up so well that the studio mics that Grant and I use now, the ones we just got since we moved over to the new network, they're only $100 each, and the quality is way better. In fact, the quality of these are better than a lot of the high dollar new mics. So anyway, roundabout way of saying thank you for being patient as I figure out the sounds and get to where I'm at a comfort level of doing that. All right, so let's talk about this podcast. This episode is basically just answering from the last episode where I had asked you, the listener, the question of where did you want the S2S Sports Network to go? Now, you knew we were going to do coaches shows. You knew we were going to do regional shows. And we might have some other stuff, but those are the main things. That's the things I've kind of, I've hung my hat on outside of Sideline to Sideline for the last 10 years. And so what I asked you, the audience, was, where did y'all want this network to go? And it's funny because when you ask an audience a question that you actually really want answers to, and you're not just doing the whole leave a comment or, send us emails because you want engagement, you don't always know what the reaction is going to be. We have a good following. It's a following that's very vocal in one way, but not always responsive with comments. And so I actually did a couple of plants. I asked some people that listen to the show religiously and we were friends with, and I asked them the question of, hey, where do you want this network to go? But don't tell me here. Tell me on Facebook or tell us on Twitter so that we could kind of, get people to interact. And thankfully, the interaction part was not a problem. Got a huge amount of feedback, and it was all overwhelmingly, yeah, let's just stick with 4A through 2A. Let's not worry about 6A, and let's not worry about 5A. Honestly, 100% happy with that. That's what I wanted. Nothing against 6A and 5A. I love watching it. Grant and I always try to make a couple of those playoff games in the playoffs. Last year, being on the sideline in Pflugerville when Duncanville played, I can't even remember who they played now, but just being on the sideline and just seeing the mass of humanity that's so fast and athletic, it's just amazing. But I just don't enjoy covering it as much. I still am. Even though my high school, and when I was there, my high school was 5A, but it's a small East Texas town, and so that's just what I love is small town football, and so and that was the whole reason why Sideline to Sideline was created. Again, even before it was called Sideline to Sideline, when it was This Week in 3A, This Week in 4A, or I think we always switched it up like This Week in 3A, 4A weekly, just to try to be different. Those were always my favorite shows to do. And we always tried to go for games back when we used to broadcast games. We tried to always hit that, at the time, really 3A sweet spot. Once they added 6A and divisions and all, and it kind of spread out to where a lot of old 3A became 4A, a lot of old 2A became 3A and stuff. Well, then we added that. And that's, again, why we're adding 2A this year. So first off, thank you all for the complete huge amount of feedback on that, and then thank y'all for saying that y'all wanted us to stick to more 4A, 3A, and 2A. So that's what we're going to do now. In saying that, it will change up some things. I don't really know if we're going to have a true DFW regional show now. Probably just call it North Texas and go from there, and then can get the Caddo Mills, the Sunnyvales, the Brocs, all those that are around the Metroplex. Now, of course, the East Texas show, I will be handing off to NETSN and Brett and the crew. In fact, last night we were talking about names for it and logos and all that. And we're going to have that's going to be a fun show. If some of the ideas that we have coming out for what the logo of the show is going to look like, you're going to love it. Now, they might still do some 6A and 5A in their talk, and I can understand if they do. You got Longview. You've got an all 5A district that has some good teams in it. But for S2S Sport Network, at least this football season, we are going to focus on 4A, 3A, and 2A. And that's even with our coaches show. Now, in saying that, one caveat, probably we'll still do a Chad Worrell show now that he's at Burleson. I said that last time. But other than that, we're going to focus on 4A, 3A, and 2A on the coaches shows and the regional shows. And again, I'm probably going to have to change the DFW regional. It might become more of just a North Texas. But we'll figure all that. That's all, we'll get that down in the future. But I did want to say how we're going to start all this off is I thought a real fun idea would be basically to try to get as many of the coaches who have moved into new head coaching jobs at 4A, 3A, or 2A to do a show with them or an episode of an off-season show. Now, this is like Marcus Schultz. He's moved from Humble to Ponder. I'm going to have him on later on this week, and we're going to do an interview. And that's actually going to be a video, so that's going to be a YouTube video one as well. This is technically YouTube as well. It goes on YouTube, but it's audio only. That will be a video one. And a lot of the off-season ones will be video because we kind of want to put names to faces for people that are getting new coaches and just for people across the state. We're going to take advantage of the video technology and capabilities that we've now created with moving over to this new network. Now, in saying that, in-season shows, coaches shows, they're mostly probably going to stay audio only. Again, I talked about that in the last episode, but that's just mainly I could end up doing 25 or 30 of those, and I need to get those out as quick as possible. Those need to be quick turnaround things. That's one of the reasons why when I was creating the idea for those, you do them 15 minutes. Not a lot of fluff questions. Just get in, coach. How did you think y'all did last week? What are your thoughts this week? And move on to the next one. And so to add full video to all those is first off would be really hard because, again, doing small town means internet capabilities of certain towns might not be as good. Heck, even cell can be an issue. Doing Holiday last year with Coach Frank Johnson, some of our episodes we had to restart, or we had to, I'd have to start at Tuesday afternoon and then wait till later that, 3-4 hours because we had cell phone issues. And so the in-season, at least right now, are still predominantly, if not all, are going to be audio. But the off-season, I think it'd be fun if we try to get as many of those as we can on video. So that's going to be that's what we're going to be doing here. Again, I'm going to interview today. I'm recording this on April 17th on a Monday. I will be talking with Coach Schultz on Thursday as of right now is the plan, and I'll get that up as soon as we get done. I don't know the schedule yet. This is literally just going to be as I can get these. I don't know if you heard that, but that's one of the sound panels that we've got that just fell. Again, trying to figure out everything with the studio, but I don't know the schedule yet because we're just, as I can grab a coach and he has a time available and my time works, boom, we'll do it. But that's the update I wanted to have for everybody. Again, thank y'all so much for the feedback. And again, thank you so much I really did want to go 4A, 3A, and 2A only. And I'm glad that we're getting to do that. And if y'all had wanted 6A and 5A, we would have, of course, done it. And I'd have still had fun doing it. But I really am glad. I want to be a network. Our show, Sideline to Sideline, has built a niche. And speaking of, we don't, we have a lot of fun, but we don't pat ourselves on the back a ton. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the award. But Grant and I, we won a Texas Association of Broadcasters Best Sports Show for our work that we do at KETR. And first off, we've been doing that show for 10 years now, and I think we've won 8 years. I think the only year we haven't won in a row was COVID, if I'm not mistaken. And I could be wrong on that. We could have actually won that too. I'm not always told when we win these. I have to find out by just randomly. I just randomly happened to look at somebody from KETR and they were posting the award, and I literally saw my name. I love KETR. But it'd be nice if they'd let us know these things. But yeah, we are so honored to get that. You know, that top 50 podcast we got a couple times, that was awesome because that was fan voted on, and we appreciate that. But winning by your peers, that's also special as well. And it feels really, really good when the Texas Association of Broadcasters says that you're one of the best sports shows for a year. And so, again, we really do appreciate that. So that niche we've built, we're real proud of. And I've always wanted to see how we could take that niche and make a whole network over it. And so that's what we're going to try to do. And so, again, check out our websites, www.s2ssport.com, s2sgrantandterry.com. You can find us on all the podcast platforms. You can also find us on YouTube, L4 Media. All shows end up on the platform and on YouTube. Even the audio only will end up on YouTube. And again, if you're a coach that's listening, or if you're a booster club or a fan and you just want your 4A, 3A, or 2A school to possibly have a coach's show here on our network, let me know. Terry at S2Ssport.com, or you can message me over at Facebook. Just type in Sideline to Sideline, or over on Twitter at Grant and Terry. So just let me know. Just send me messages like how can we have my school on a coach show, and I'll message you back and we'll start to talk about all that. And of course, that's the same if you're interested in maybe just advertising on one of our regional shows or Sideline to Sideline. We still have a couple slots open there. Again, Terry at S2Ssport.com. All right. Well, I think I got the information out that I wanted to get out for this episode. Again, be looking forward to Marcus Schultz's interview this week, where we talk about his move to Ponder. And then also Outdrank the Coverage. Intern Noe and I will be doing our show Saturday. We won't be doing those live, but we'll be recording a retrospective of the league season 2 and another episode where we talk about the 1971 Dallas Cowboys, the first team for Dallas that won a Super Bowl. We'll talk about that. We're doing a big look back at that where we go game by game. We have video highlights. We have commentary. It's really fun. I've been working hard on that one, and I really have enjoyed doing that. Again, part of the reason why we wanted to make the move to this network is being able to do more creative stuff like that, having a blast doing. Also, speaking of, we will be having a live Outdrink the Coverage draft show Thursday night for the first round of the NFL draft. You can sit and watch it with us live on YouTube. We will be actually going to be setting up a studio in the living room so we can have the TV in there so we can just watch, it all in the comfort of a couch. So check that out. That'll be on our YouTube channel at L4 Media. Also on our podcast that will run live, outdrankthecoverage.com. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, we want to thank Power Plus Mouthguard for being the sponsor of this one. And I'm Terry Bennett, and this has been Terry Talks on the S2S Sports Network.